Prepare yourself, my friends, because I am about to gush my heart out about this book. Now, as you may remember, we are reading the books we already own, okay? Going through our bookshelf, one book at a time, reading the ones we haven't read yet, and deciding what gets to stay and what's gotta go. Last time we had our little check-in here, I had just finished reading Skandar and the Unicorn Thief, which is the first book in the Skandar series by A.F. Stedman. And you might recall that I really liked this a lot. But book two? Last night I finished reading Skandar and the Phantom Rider, and let me tell you, I am in, okay? I loved this book, and I love this series. Now, I am going to talk a little bit about why I love this book so much, but don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it because honestly, I want you to read the books and I don't want to ruin them for you. Now, if you don't already know, Skandar takes place in like an alternate world where unicorns turn out to be real and they're like bloodthirsty monsters. In the wild, they live forever, their bodies decaying, and they just get meaner and meaner as time goes on. However, they have the ability to bond and be tamed by humans. And in bonding with humans, they also give humans some of their magic. Now, all of these unicorn bonds are aligned to one of the four elements, you know, like Avatar style. But in the first book, we learn that Skandar is actually aligned to a fifth element, which you guessed it, everyone's scared of and is in fact illegal. In this book, we follow Skandar and his friends as they continue training as unicorn riders. However, in the midst of their daily unicorn training lives, a huge problem occurs. Wild unicorns, who are supposed to be immortal, are being unalived. And because of the type of elemental rider that Skandar is, they start blaming him. And because these unicorns are being unalived, the island where they train the unicorns is angry and is like fighting back. On top of all of this, Skandar is also having to navigate his increasingly complicated friendships. This book is a perfect example of what a second book in a series should be. It takes all the groundwork from the first book and builds upon it. It raises the stakes to impossible new levels. And I think the heights of epicness to which the story gets are especially important when you consider that this is only the second in a 5-book series. At no point did I feel like this book was holding back because there were still 3 more books to go. In fact, there are times where this book feels like it could be the last book in the series. That's how intense things are. And knowing that this author is willing to up the stakes this much in just book 2 is such a good sign. It is also building so much upon the lore that we were introduced to in book 1. This book is rich with information and lore and history. It feels real and lived in and like a place you could visit. And all of this adds up to a really thrilling story with characters you just care so much about. At one point while reading this, I said that this book is sort of like Stranger Things meets My Little Pony, which I know is crazy, but it works! And yes, I do want to mention this is a middle grade story, but it is such an excellent fantasy adventure that I think it would appeal to anyone. But that being said, if you are looking to get the young people in your life a fantasy school adventure to read this year, I happen to think this would be a much better option than some things out there you could pick up, if you know what I mean. Honestly, this was a 6-star read for me. I really loved it, which means, as you can imagine, I am super excited to read book 3. I'm going to be continuing on this adventure. I plan to read the whole series by the end of the month, along with all the other things I'm reading this month. I may have overpacked my December reading plans. Have you read or are you reading the Skandar series, and what do you think? And more importantly, what are you reading off of your bookshelf this week? Let me know in the comments.